The Winklevoss twins are watching their multi-billion-dollar crypto empire crumble after an 80% stock market crash, but they just pulled a regulatory golden ticket out of the ashes that could trigger the most violent short squeeze of 2026. Gemini Space Station is currently the most polarizing company sitting at the intersection of Wall Street and the Wild West of digital assets, and if you look at the chart, it looks like a straight line to zero. To understand how we got to this point, you have to realize that this company went public in September 2025 with the kind of hype we usually only see once a decade. It was the Winklevoss twins finally bringing their vision of a regulated, trusted bridge to the crypto economy to the masses, and the market initially loved it, valuing the company at nearly $5 billion. But fast forward just a few months to today, and that narrative has been violently dismantled. The stock has plummeted from an all-time high of nearly $46 down to just $6.50. That is a catastrophic destruction of wealth, and it happened because the reality of the business caught up with the ambition of the founders. When you look at the fundamental data, you see a company that is fundamentally strained, caught in a cycle of extreme corporate distress. For the 2025 fiscal year, they're staring down an adjusted EBITDA loss of over $250 million. Think about that for a second. This isn't just a small miss, it is a massive gaping hole in the balance sheet. And while the money was pouring out, the people in charge of the money were heading for the exits. This is what people are calling the C-suite massacre. In February 2026, the Chief Operating Officer, the Chief Financial Officer, and the Chief Legal Officer all resigned simultaneously. When the three people most responsible for the day-to-day operations, the money, and the legal compliance of a newly public company all quit at the same time, right before the first big annual report is due, it sends a signal to the market that is impossible to ignore. It's like being on a ship where you notice the captain, the navigator, and the engineer are all jumping into the same lifeboat while the ship is still in the middle of the ocean. The market reacted exactly how you'd expect, wiping out 13% of the company's value in a single day. But this is where the story gets complicated, because while the internal structure of the company is seemingly on fire, they are holding on to something that no one else has. In December 2025, after 5 grueling years of fighting with the government, Gemini finally secured a designated contract market license from the CFTC. This is their regulatory golden ticket. It allows them to legally offer prediction markets and event contracts to retail investors in the United States, which is a market that is absolutely exploding right now. We are talking about billions of dollars in volume from people wanting to bet on everything from political outcomes to economic data. Right now, most of that activity is happening on offshore, unregulated exchanges or on platforms that are fighting their own legal battles. Gemini is one of the very few entities that can actually do this legally and with the government's blessing. So you have this incredible paradox where the company's core exchange business is bleeding out, but they are pivoting toward a potential multi-billion-dollar monopoly in a brand new sector. It's a classic binary outcome. Either this prediction market pivot saves the entire enterprise, or the cash burn and the legal investigations finish them off first. Now, to understand why the cash burn is so bad, you have to look at the gross profit margin, which is currently sitting at negative 12%. This is a rare and dangerous metric for an exchange. Usually, an exchange makes money on every trade, regardless of whether the market is going up or down. But for Gemini, the direct costs of just keeping the lights on and facilitating trades actually exceed the revenue those trades generate. They are losing money on every single transaction before they even pay for their massive office space or their legal teams. This is why they were forced to announce a strategic retreat in February, shutting down all operations in the United Kingdom, the European Union, and Australia. They are essentially amputating their international limbs to try and save the heart of the business in the United States and Singapore. They also laid off 25% of their global workforce. This is a company in survival mode. But even with these cuts, the financial models suggest they are going to incinerate another $69 million in 2026. This creates a race against the clock. They have enough cash from the IPO to survive for a while, but if the prediction market revenue doesn't start showing up on the balance sheet soon, they will be forced to raise more money. And if they raise money at these depressed prices, it will lead to massive dilution for anyone holding the stock today. It's like owning a piece of a pie that keeps getting sliced into smaller and smaller pieces while the pie itself is shrinking. But then you have the power dynamic at the top. This is a controlled company, which means public shareholders have zero power. The Winklevoss twins hold Class B shares that give them 10 votes for every 1 vote a regular shareholder has. In total, they control nearly 95% of the voting power.
This means no activist investor can come in and fire the board or force a sale of the company. You are essentially betting on the personal judgment of 2 billionaires. Some investors see this as a good thing because it allows for long-term thinking without worrying about short-term stock price fluctuations. But others see it as a massive risk, especially when you consider that the executives who left were selling millions of dollars worth of stock near the peak, while the internal numbers were likely showing the impending disaster. The chief operating officer and the chief legal officer cashed out over $12 million combined just days after the IPO. The optics of that are terrible, and it's exactly what triggered the current wave of class action securities fraud investigations. At least 4 major law firms are now digging into whether the company misled investors about its financial health. Even if these lawsuits don't result in a massive fine, the legal fees alone will be another drain on a company that can't afford to lose any more cash. So why would anyone still be holding this stock? Well, look at who was buying. In late 2025, while the growth funds were panic selling, institutional giants like Vanguard and Morgan Stanley were actually increasing their positions. Morgan Stanley increased their holdings by over 2,000%. This suggests that the smart money sees something in that CFTC license that the retail market is missing. They are looking at the average analyst price target, which is around $14. That represents a potential 100% upside from where we are today. The analysts aren't saying the company is healthy, they are saying the stock is so oversold on a technical basis that any good news could send it screaming higher. And that brings us to the most dangerous part of this setup, the short interest. Between 17 and 47% of the tradable shares have been sold short. That is a massive amount of betting against the company. It makes Gemini a coiled spring. If the company reports even a small amount of success with their prediction markets during the March 19th earnings call, all those short sellers will be forced to buy back shares at the same time to cover their positions. That is how you get a short squeeze. And given the low liquidity of the stock right now, that squeeze could be violent. But before we get to that earnings call, there is a massive hurdle standing in the way. March 11th. That is the official IPO lockup expiration date. Up until now, early investors, employees, and the founders have been legally barred from selling their shares. On March 11th, millions of new shares become eligible to hit the market. Usually, when a stock has dropped 80%, insiders don't want to sell at the bottom. But remember, Gemini just laid off 200 people. Those former employees might be looking at their remaining equity and thinking they need to get whatever value is left before it goes to zero. If they all try to exit at once, it could flood the market and break the psychological support level of $6. If that level breaks, there is no historical data to tell us where the bottom is. It could easily slide into penny stock territory. So you have this incredibly tight 2-week window in mid-March where the stock will either collapse under the weight of the lockup expiration or ignite a massive rally based on the earnings guidance. When you weigh it all up, Gemini isn't a traditional investment. It violates almost every rule of value investing. It has no earnings, its margins are negative, and its governance is highly concentrated. It's more like a high-stakes poker game where the Winklevoss twins have gone all in on a single hand. They are betting everything that they can beat out competitors like Robinhood and Coinbase in the race for the prediction market. Robinhood already facilitated 11 billion event contracts in late 2025, which shows you how much ground Gemini has to make up. But Gemini's moat is that they spent 5 years doing the regulatory homework that others tried to skip. They are the adult in the room in a sector that is often seen as a casino. If they can leverage that trust and their new license to capture even a small fraction of the market, the current $700 million valuation will look like a steal. Therefore, the verdict on Gemini depends entirely on your risk tolerance. For most people, it's a wait-and-see situation. You want to see the lockup expiration pass and see the actual volume numbers on the March 19th call. But for tactical traders, the sheer amount of negative sentiment and the heavy short positioning makes this a fascinating turnaround play. It's a story of hubris meeting reality, but it's also a story of a company that might have just found a way to survive its own implosion. The next few weeks will decide if Gemini becomes a footnote in crypto history or the dominant player in the future of retail trading. It's a high-risk, high-reward setup where the walls are closing in and the only way out is through a narrow regulatory door that they spent half a decade building. Whether they can actually fit the rest of the company through that door before the cash runs out is the billion-dollar question that every investor is asking right now. Wait until you see what happens on the morning of March 12th, because that first day of open trading for the insiders will tell you everything you need to know about the real health of the company before the founders even open their mouths on the earnings call.